Okay, it is Tuesday, October 17th, and we are looking at the practice exam for Accounting 201, and we're looking at the short algebra problems at the back of the practice exam number 8. Okay, and the question I asked the group was, what is the formula for calculating retained earnings? And Jackson just said it is beginning balance plus net income. If you have a net loss, it would be minus dividends equals ending balance, okay? And in this problem, we don't know what the beginning balance is, okay? All right. And then we say, but we do know that over the course of the year, assets went up 25,000 and liabilities went down 15,000, okay? So just starting with that line, we know that during the year net change, assets went up 25, liabilities went down 15. Liabilities and stockholders' equity are on the right side of the equation. So those two things, minus 15 and 40,000, have to equal 25. And I put the 40,000 in red because you have to calculate it, okay? So if I didn't show you that, I would say, hey, this is all of these numbers are related to what happened during the year, because net income is the question. What is net income? And net income happened during the year. So in this particular problem, you do not need to know beginning balance and you do not need to know ending balance. We're just focusing on the during the year activity. Does that make sense? So if I told you assets went up 25 and liabilities went down 15, this number you'd have to solve for. And when you were done solving for it, that number minus 15 has to equal 25,000. Assets equal liabilities plus stockholders' equity. So you first calculate the net change for stockholders' equity. Now you know that number, and then your goal is to figure out the individual pieces. So what impacted stockholders' equity during the year? Well, first off, they issued more stock, so that's 30,000. So that's an increase to common stock, which would make stockholders' equity go up. And they also paid 15,000 dividends, which would make retained earnings go down, so minus. And then it's only a question of saying, how do we get to the 40,000? Well, we've got the additional investment, we've got minus dividends, but the one piece we don't know yet is what is net income. Okay, so remember, when we calculate retained earnings, we start with beginning balance plus net income minus dividends equals ending balance. Well, we know what the ending balance is for the activity during the year. And so we're saying 30 minus 15 plus what is 40,000. Okay. And so
the 40,000 is given to us, right? So
it's not given, you had to calculate it.
Oh.
Wait, where'd the 60,000 come from?
Well, let's think about that. Now I'm looking at it and going, where is the 60,000? Let's see.
Yeah, I think that was the confusion point, the numbers next to the 25,000.
So let me write this as an equation. Maybe it's just a typo to drive students crazy. Let's see. Okay. Can you see both screens? Or just one screen?
Yeah, we can see both.
All right. Let's think. So we know that the difference is 40,000. Let's make it bigger. So what we're saying is 30,000 minus 15,000 plus X equals 40,000. Okay. So then we're saying 15,000 plus X equals 40,000. Still don't see a 60,000 here. And then we're saying X equals 25,000. Okay. So I think that's a typo. So it would be. And should be, so if you look at that first row there, let's reprint it here. If we were to write this another way, minus 30 plus 15 equals X. And that's what I put here, except I put the wrong number. So that's an error. Okay. That's where the 60,000 came from. There is no 60,000. Okay. So sorry about that. Any other questions on that? Yeah. Let's change that. There we go.
Wait, so how did we get the 40,000 again? Sorry.
No problem. Let's see here. So we said, let's go. We said at the very beginning of the problem, we said, what happened during the year? We had total assets increased 25,000 during the year. So we're showing that here during the year. Total liabilities decreased 15,000. Okay. And then you had to solve for the 40 here. So what we're saying is that 40,000 is what happened to stockholders' equity during the year. Stockholders' equity went up 40,000 during the year. And stockholders' equity is common stock and retained earnings. So if the stockholders invested more money, common stock went up 30,000. And if the company paid dividends, retained earnings went down 15,000. And that is net income. That's so you solve for that. Saying 40 minus 30 plus 15 equals 25. How about number 9? Did you guys do that one? Did you understand that one?
Yeah, it was easier than that one. Number 8.
That was easier?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's pretty straightforward. But what happened? Tell me this. In number 9, what happened during the year? What was the net change to stockholders' equity during the year? Did it go up or down? So here's the beginning balance, 500,000. Here's the ending balance. Did stockholders' equity go up or down?
It went up 55,000.
Yeah. And you can see that it increased with net income, it decreased with dividends, and it increased with additional investment. Okay. But here I'm showing it just as the during the year net change. But here I'm saying beginning plus during equals ending. Just a little different way of presenting the data. Okay. All right. How are you guys with the essay?
What does net change mean again?
What does the net change mean?
Yeah, like total net change. What does that mean?
That means what's the difference between the end of the year balance and the beginning of the year balance?
Oh, okay.
So like if let's say you weighed 150 pounds at the beginning of the year, and at the end of the year you weighed 180 pounds, your net change would be a positive 30 pounds. Okay. Or if it went the other way, you weighed 180 at the beginning of the year and 150 at the end of the year, your net change would be a minus 30 pounds. So it can be plus or minus. It just depends on the situation. All right. Okay. How about the essay? Oh, no, we want to go over the balance sheet. Okay, let's do that next. Let's, Ben, there's a really, really good sample balance sheet in the chapter 2 under Franklin. So go to chapter 2. Oops, open up your textbook. And I use the textbook a lot, and they have really good problems in it as well. And I looked at it for this exam, and scroll down and see where it says classified balance sheet. Okay. This is a great sample balance sheet. Can you see Franklin Corporation, Ben?
Yeah.
Okay, so we got current assets, long-term investments, property, plant, and equipment. And those, ignore the highlighting, that's just me. And intangible assets. So we have 4 categories. Okay. So here's what you need to know. Okay. And there's some stuff here that's tricky. All right. So current assets. For right now, ignore debt investments. Okay. Always cash is first, always. Then accounts receivable. Then note receivable, inventory, supplies, prepaid insurance. So the idea is they're in order of liquidity, how fast they'll turn back into cash. Okay. So cash is already cash. So it's always number 1. Accounts receivable, usually we give our customers 30 days to pay. So that's next. Notes receivable, sometimes a little bit longer, 3 months. Inventory is often a store will carry inventory for a longer period of time, 2, 3, 4 months. Okay. And same with supplies. Companies will buy supplies in bulk and use them up over 6 months. And then prepaid rent, prepaid insurance, often those are things where the company prepays something 6 months in advance, much longer. Okay. All right. Now, in your homework or in a test situation, if I have debt investments here, I would add short term. Okay. If I don't add short term, I want you to assume it's long-term investment. Okay. Did you guys get that? If it's short term, if it says short term, put it in current assets. If it's not, if it doesn't say short term, it's going to be long-term investments. Okay. All right. So in this case, they didn't tell us that. So they should have. All right. Now, long-term investments are what most companies do not have long-term investments. The reason being is they don't have extra cash to invest. They use their cash in the company and they don't have a lot of extra cash. And when we say investment, we mean I don't need that cash for the next year or 2. Okay. So I don't want to leave it in my checking account. I'm going to invest in the stock market. So I'll buy some stock. But the key word there is investment. If you have an account that says debt investment and it doesn't have short term on it, it'll go here as well. Even though you see that word debt and stock, the fact that it says investment means it's in another company. And then here you might see something investment in real estate. Again, what that means is the company's not using that property. They might have bought real estate with the idea of opening another store or building, but they haven't done it yet. Or they might just be investing in that with the idea that if they need cash, they'll sell it, hopefully at a much higher price. Another account that could go here is land held for investment. That's another way of saying investment in real estate. Okay. Long-term investments. Again, most companies don't have that. You're really looking at the bigger companies that have a ton of cash. Property, plant, and equipment. You got land, which is property. There is no account called property. That's just a title. And the word is land. You could have a building here. You could have furniture here. You could have computer equipment. But these are kind of the major categories. And then we always subtract accumulated depreciation here. And we're going to study accumulated depreciation more in chapter 4. But it's how we write down the value of the equipment account and the building account. Okay, we don't write down land. All right, so we add those accounts, we subtract accumulated depreciation, and we get total property, plant and equipment. And then finally, intangible assets, which are things we cannot touch, things like patents, goodwill, copyrights, trademarks. And we put them all there and add them up. Okay. Order under intangible assets, it's not real critical. The order that really matters is under current assets, Ben. So that's where you want to be real mindful of where it goes. Okay.
I have another question. So I see for the current assets, we have a total current assets, but for like long-term investments and property, plant, equipment, it doesn't have a label for total. So do we just put on the same line as the last item?
You can, typically if there's like one item and there's nothing there, you just bring the total over. You don't do a subtotal. I would have expected a subtotal here and under property, plant and equipment, but you can see that that's also acceptable to just bring it over.
Okay.
We tend to use current assets more in ratios, and that's why we want to call it out. So, and then down here in current liabilities, books go back and forth about which one goes first, accounts payable or notes payable. I typically put accounts payable first because we have to pay our bills in 30 days. But this book is putting notes payable first. I will accept either. Unearned sales revenue, anything with a payable. And then the one account that doesn't have payable here is unearned revenue. And you just have to know that one is a liability. So, and then a subtotal for current liabilities. And then here's your long-term liabilities and a subtotal. And then here's your common stock and retained earnings and a subtotal. And then total liabilities and stockholders' equity. And I also have another handout on this. I don't know, are you guys able to pull handouts out of the chat? Download those.
I think we have to type the URL into Google to access it.
Okay, let's take a look at chapter 2. Let me just see here. Here we go. No, I want the solution. All right. Here's another one. Can you see this, Bargain Electronics? Are you guys able to see this screen?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, awesome. All right, so here's a long list of accounts. And when I do this in class, I color code, what goes on the balance sheet, what goes on the income statement. And I show the income statement, and then I don't show the retained earnings statement, but you could calculate it. And then here's the balance sheet. And so let's do this. Stop. All right. So again, make sure you put your titles in. Don't just start in with current assets. So we've got assets, current assets is the title, and then those are our accounts. And look how I say short term there. Okay. So current assets, then property, plant, and equipment. You can see here, we didn't have long-term investments in this problem. But here's equipment. We only had one account, so we didn't do a subtotal or anything like that. That's not necessary. Here's intangible assets. We only had one. And then there's total assets. And then here's current liabilities and total current liabilities, long-term liabilities, and then common stock and retained earnings, and then lots of subtotals. So make sure you put your subtotals in. So. And classified balance sheet just takes a while to get used to. We don't have notes, so you're kind of invested in memorizing the classified balance sheet. But think about it logically. Current assets are going to be turned into cash or used up within 1 year. Long-term investments are things that are held for investment. And then we have property, plant, and equipment. And then the intangibles. So I don't know, maybe an acronym would help here. CPI. Nope, that's not going to work. CLPI. Nah. I can't think of an acronym for that, but it would work. But frankly, the asset section has more nitpicky details than the liabilities. Liabilities just have current and long term. Okay. All right. Are you guys able to see the, you guys are able to see the solutions, right? So you asked me about them. Anything else that you guys want to go over? Did you guys try the account ID quiz yet?
Yeah.
How was that for you?
It was pretty straightforward.
Okay. Anybody else? Jasleen, Rohana, Mohammed?
Yeah, I tried it. It was good. I liked that you had us have multiple tries, like 10 tries, because I think drilling it was really, really helpful
Oh,
in
that's
getting like the memorization.
yeah. And I told my in-class students that if you want more turns than 10, just tell me and I'll up it to 15 or 20. They're just meant to be kind of flashcards for you to practice accounts. So that's one quiz where you can just keep taking it until you master it. Okay. All right, so let's look at, so we've got another balance sheet here on the practice exam. Wilger Company, current assets and property, plant and equipment. And that's probably more common. Just be careful, be mindful to put accumulated depreciation in with property, plant and equipment. Just because it will have a credit balance doesn't mean it's a liability. It rides with the equipment. They go together. The original value of the equipment and then how much it's depreciated. All right. And then accounts payable, salaries payable, notes payable, long-term, and so forth. And then all of those algebra problems that you guys love. And then we did another one here, little big company, retained earnings, and then there. Now on the essay, I just want to draw your attention to this. So you will be writing an essay, and so there's really 3 components of the essay. Component number 1 is, and I'll tell you what I want. I want thesis statement, number 1, evidence, and conclusion. And your evidence needs to have numerical and percent change. That's real important. Not just percent, not just numerical. Okay. So I don't know if the solution is self-explanatory, but if you guys have questions, I'm happy to go over them with you. Let me know if you want to go through it. So the essay is worth about 14% of your exam. So you want to make sure you know how to calculate. So the first sentence, you're just going to say, did the situation, so we're looking at revenue here and net income here. You only have to write one essay. Revenue is always at the top of the income statement. Net income is always at the bottom. And check the dates. Be careful with the dates. The oldest is on the right, 2011, 2012, and 2013. So don't get the dates flipped in your head because you'll have the opposite conclusion. So we had 711,000, a million, 1,370,000. So that's clearly growing. And that's a good thing. So we say it's really Lululemon experienced significant improvement in the 3 years. So you're saying, and then you say sales increased and calculate that percent change in 2012 compared to 2011. And then tell me how many dollars was the change. So remember the current year minus the last year. The company continued this improvement with total revenue increasing 36.92%, or 369,519. Now I want to draw your attention to the fact that the dollars grew more the second year, but the percent growth actually went down. And so if you want to look at both. So, and then the conclusion statement for this sales revenue is, well, the growth rates are slightly lower, but they're still very strong performance here. Okay. So just be able, it's a dry analysis. It's not real exciting. Of course, if that were your money, you'd be pretty excited, but I want to just get you into this mindset of seeing the 3-year trend and being able to calculate the percent change and the dollar change, and then comment on it. Is this a favorable trend? Is this an unfavorable trend? Is it neutral, or is it inconsistent? Did it go up one year, down the next, and so forth? Okay. Do you guys have any questions about the essay? And
Just to make sure, you just want one or the other, right? We don't have to do both total revenue and net income.
no, you'll demonstrate it with one. That's fine. I may have you do some calculations, but the writing will be about one number, one set of trends. Okay. And then bear in mind that you should always know how to do the ratios, net income percent, which you did in Monopoly, current ratio. You should know how to do that. So, and I think, did I put that on the cover sheet? I can't remember if I did, but you should. And I always say, go to the end of the chapter, go to the textbook. And if you haven't discovered them yet, start discovering them for chapter 2. And you can always do review and practice, and they'll give you end of chapter problems. Chapter 3 has them, review and practice. And what's nice about them is they give you the solutions right there. And so it's like, here's a bunch of journal entries, and then you get the answers, and it's all there. Instructions. And then you have multiple choice, and then you get all the answers. So. And brief exercises and the answers right there. So it's really helpful to do the review. And part of it is, you guys are great. I'm glad you're here. That's a good step up anyway. And then you just want to make sure that you are, you're not just teaching to the test where you're just trying to memorize the practice exam. You want to kind of take a break from the practice exam and look at other problems and say, oh yeah, I know how to do that. You may not have time to review all the problems, but if you even can say to yourself, I know how to do that, that's a step up if you're just reading them. So I know you guys have pretty busy lives. So here's a whole practice exercise, more solutions, more journal entries, and more solutions. So you really can drill and get immediate feedback using the end of chapter practice problems. Did anybody come to campus today for the Pathways Fair in the cafeteria?
I walked through there. I didn't have time to come for the career fair. I wish I did.
It was fun. It wasn't a career fair. It was more just talking about different programs on campus. We had a lot of fun. I worked the booth for half hour, 45 minutes. I met a lot of students, so that was fun. All right. What else, guys? So something to be, let's look at your own calendar for your own class. Let's bring up that. I like to do, in my live classes, I like to do a calendar check-in. And boy, is Canvas slow today. All right, let's look at your class. All right, so our exam is here. And tonight, finish your account ID and finish your practice homework. It's not a lot of points, but the points do count. It's not extra. And then Friday, your team contracts are due for the project. So you want to make sure to read the project instructions and then meet with reach out to your team and submit one contract per team. Okay. And you will have Thursday to figure that out, Thursday and Friday to figure that out. So what I want to do, if you guys don't mind, is take a quick look at that. So project instructions here. Let's go look at the actual. There we go. So here's the assignment and here's the instructions. And then what I do, the output for this project, which we'll be doing in several weeks, not right away. The output for this project is you are going to upload a PowerPoint presentation. You're going to upload speaking notes, which you can put on PowerPoint or attach a document. And you are going to attach a bibliography to it. And with your team, you're going to do a brief YouTube video and put a link into your YouTube. So, and you already picked your companies. So let me demonstrate this template. So I created a template this quarter because students were spending way too much time trying to figure out what I wanted on the PowerPoint. So I've got it set up, and then I'm begging you guys. I know that many of you are very creative, to put a lot of creativity into your PowerPoint. Artwork, company brands, logos. Don't just use random artwork. Make it tied to the company brands. So like if you're studying Columbia or Nordstrom, put Nordstrom brands in there so people get a visual of what the company's about. And then each page, and I have some things here, PowerPoint, be creative. Attach your presentation. Don't put a link. I want a physical document uploaded. And the whole presentation will be a video about 14, 15 minutes. Don't go over 15 or you'll lose points. I had a team once go for an hour and I was like, oh man, you guys worked hard, but wow. And then here's some notes on how to speak and introduce each other while you're speaking. So what is the value proposition of your business? What are their brands? And we're staying away from financials here. What's the customer? What kind of customers does each business have? Are they high-end customers? Are they middle class? Is it a business? Is it government? And you're comparing the two companies, let's say Starbucks and McDonald's, right? And what are the strengths of your companies? What are the risk factors? Okay. And what are the growth opportunities? Is this company growing or is it kind of leveled off in terms? And when we say growth, we talk about revenue. Okay. Then somebody's going to look at 5-year stock value and have a graph. And we have links to where you can find some of this data. You'll briefly, couple of points on the stock trends. Is it favorable, unfavorable, neutral? Just like we just did. Companies to stock value and stock trends, something called governance scores. And then you go out and you look at, for each company, somebody looks up 6 articles, company 1, 6 articles, company 2, and you briefly summarize that research. And I have some links where I can help you find resources for that. Don't discuss finances, discuss the other stuff, customer, brand, all of that, value. And then you say, are these filings consistent with the internal filings? Is the business model economically sustainable? Is it environmentally sustainable? Okay, we'll talk more about that. And then you do the same for company 2, and then you say which company is better. Okay, so this is, and then you add your bibliography. So let me close this and I want to go back to here. So a lot of that stuff I know doesn't make a lot of sense to you right now, but this is a great project for giving your classmates, for giving me an overview of 2 companies that are in competition with each other at a real high level. And then project 2, when we get to project 2, we will do a financial analysis of those same 2 companies. But let's look at this. So what is due on Friday? You've already picked your teams, and you guys can see this, right? There's some instructions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Please call out if you can't see something. Okay. So we're analyzing two companies' business models. And I just made a mention of internal sources and external sources. And the external sources are business articles, and the governance scores and the stock values. But the internal source is the company's annual report. So you're going to learn how to read part of the sections of the annual report. Okay. You're going to make a team contract, turn it in Friday night, one per team. And a week or so later, you're going to upload your work in progress. No, a week later, you'll upload your work in progress, and each team member individually will upload it. And that's just some idea that I got from a lot of students saying, we want our team members to be accountable and not just the night before it's due. We want to see their work in progress. And then you'll turn in your final report on November 2nd. Okay. And you'll critique another team. Okay. So you've done this part of the project, and now you're just going to cut and paste these out into another Word document. I don't need the whole thing. Your project plan, your contract, who's on your team, and what are their cell phone numbers, so you can easily reach them. Name your companies here. And then when are you guys going to meet? And this is the most important part, is y'all need to commit to a weekly meeting. It may only be 15 minutes long. It may be an hour long, but you need to meet and pick a time when people are not working. So like every Sunday at 7 or every Thursday at 5, here's the meeting link if we're going to do it on Zoom or in person. And then the final draft, when are you planning to meet? Okay, the final draft is due on a Thursday, so figure out when you're going to meet. So, all right, Rohana.
I need to go, but
Okay.
I also needed to discuss the
Yeah,
exam.
give me one more minute.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
And then your agenda, and then your detailed table is you assigning all these tasks for project 1. So I listed the tasks. Make somebody your chair, and they can be kind of the point person, and then, you know, research and make notes on the business model, stock value, governance score, and so forth. Okay. So, and here's the detail of each of those sections. What does the company say about itself? That's from the annual report, and I show you how to find the annual report in these instructions. And here's the stock value, here's the governance score, and what do the external sources say, and what company is best, okay? So turn in just contract page 1 and contract page 2 by Friday. All right, so we will stop sharing, and I'll send out a video on what we did today as well. So, all right. And then Rohana and I need to meet individually. Does anybody have any last minute questions?
Yes, so I just wanted to make sure the kind of like format that you want us to use when we're doing the like algebraic problems, like the one that we went over in the beginning of class. Did you want it to be exactly like that format where you had the assets, liabilities, stockholders' equity, or did you just need us to be able to find the answer to the question that you pose?
So here's how it works, Haley. If you just put the answer down and it's right, you'll get 100%. If you put the answer down and it's wrong, and that's all you give me, I cannot give you partial credit. So if you show me how you calculated it, I have an opportunity to award you partial credit. For the algebra problems, there's no mandated format. I just need to see how your thought process went.
Okay, so as long as there's like kind of work shown, then it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you bet, because it's just algebra. Okay. All right, I will see the rest of you later. I'm going to stop the recording unless you have a last minute question. So, all right. Well, I am going to open a breakout room. I'm going to stop the recording.